the Small Business Institute, which many people in small towns and on this call will have a vast knowledge of. And Winda will be speaking to us about what the Small Business Institute, is the journey of the Small Business Institute, which will be straight out to Andrew. And it's also kind of in partnership with our support partner, Kagiso Trust, and they have a team here today with Paul Smith and another speaker from them as well. But I'm going to hand over to Andrew, and I'll give him more of an introduction on the different speakers going forward, that's later on. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Simon. Just to say, Simon, that your connection wasn't very good there. It was a little bit garbled at the end. So let's just watch that and monitor that. But welcome, everyone, and good afternoon. And I'd like us to get into the agenda as soon as possible. Just for those of you who are new to the Towns Action Network, let me just say that the EDP is a collaborative intermediary organization. We work with government, business, civil society, communities, academics, and researchers. And we sit in the middle to provide independent partnering platforms to help people work together to get things done. And in this case, the Towns Action Network is a knowledge sharing and information sharing network about who is working in the various small towns in South Africa. And we know that there are about 600 of them, and many of them have been taking strain for a long time. And at the same time, many of you and many others have been working to turn around the fortunes of the small towns from below. Some of you are from business, some from communities, some of you are from municipalities. And our job is to bring these different sectors together to see how we can strengthen collaboration. The EDP hosts this network, but we have 7 support partners. And one of the slides that Simon put up earlier showed those 7 support partners, which includes Kagiso Trust. We also work with SALGA and with COGTA, in a sense, as the key bodies in the authorizing environment to see if we can stimulate action and reaction within government as a whole. And our slogan of these sorts of initiatives is the 3 C's: connect, communicate, and collaborate. And that's what we are doing here today. So the focus today is, focus of the previous Towns Action Network, if I can remember that far back, Simon, it seems like a long time ago, about 8 weeks ago, was on accountability and how to build accountability and hold accountability and build mutual accountability for regeneration of small towns. Today, we're focusing on business, the role of business in small towns. We know that a strong local business community usually forms the basis of a well-functioning town or set of towns within a region in South Africa. And Winda, I'm sure you're going to tell us a little bit about your report, the importance of local champions in reviving local economies that you published last year. Very interesting report. And I really liked your 2 case studies that I hope you'll tell us more about on the Bothaville Small Business Institute, as well as the Kruger-Lohfeldt Chamber of Business and Tourism in Mbombela. So in a sense, those are stories with more hope. There obviously are also stories with less hope. And I think today we will hear from both, because not all local partnering initiatives and local change-making initiatives seem to work. Some seem to run smack into a dead end. And Klippies, I was reading a bit about the very dire situation that you have with the Mfuleni local municipality. So we will hear, in a sense, some stuff that is working for change and some stuff that seems to be getting blocked, and try and help each other navigate through those 2. But Winda, over to you. And really, thank you for being on this call and sharing what you are doing as the Small Business Institute.
Andrew, thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity to share a bit of information on the SBI as an organization, as well as give a bit of background information on our journey that we have in collaborating with local governments. You mentioned the research that we do. That's available on our website. I only have 10 minutes today. We have quite a packed program. So it's available on our website. It's www.smallbusinessinstitute.co.za. So that's available for anyone to go and have a look at that. But let me give you a bit of more background information on the organization. The SPI was founded in 1942. That's already 80 years ago, as the Afrikaanse Handelsinstituut, the AHI. And it's in the space of organized business. And in 2017, we had a name change to the SBI, that's the Small Business Institute. Now, the reason for existence of the SBI is to promote the economic and business interests of its members through influencing the regulatory environment in which our members conduct their businesses. And I think at this point, we are so well positioned to just do that. Because you mentioned our research, we've done quite a lot of research, but with the research that we do, we provide fact-based evidence on which we base our input to be the big voice of small business, because that's our slogan. And our chairperson currently is Mr. Sipho Nkosi. He's also the Sasol chairperson and previous CEO of Kgotso. Now, Mr. Nkosi serves on the president's SOE committee, and he also leads the team in the presidency tasked with seeking out and eliminating red tape in government regulations that hamper business growth. We always refer to Mr. Red Tape Cutter. But two of our other directors are also on the President's Economic Advisory Committee, and they are Dr. Tabili Hoka and Dr. Lumkile Mundi. Now, I'm a director, and I'm responsible for looking after our 75 business chamber members. Now, what we found in the past, we focus on business chamber, business growth initiatives. And I think we address things like, for example, access to finance, access to markets, marketing, training programs. Also, when there were new legislation to explain that, for example, when BBBEE legislation came in, we had to do a lot of work on that. And about 4 years ago, I noticed there was a clear shift from issues on how to achieve sustainable growth in a business to how to stay in business, despite the lack of service delivery and the dysfunctionality of a lot of our municipalities. So within the organization and with the business chambers and people who are involved in today's program, we had quite a number of meetings. And we identified what the root causes were that led to this dysfunctionality of municipalities. And we identified 5. And I am going to mention them because if you do not address the root causes of the issues, you will not have long-term, sustainable long-term success. The issues that we identified, the first one is a lack of consequence management. It is officials are put on precautionary suspensions quite a lot, and normally with full salaries. Investigations are unfortunately not done timeously and consequently prosecuted. And it seems as if there's a culture of a lack of accountability, and that is to the detriment of the municipality as well as the community. Also, we found that officials who resign from one organ of state or municipality under suspicious circumstances are reappointed in other municipalities without the proper checks. The second one we identified was procurement integrity. And there's general non-compliance with procurement legislation and regulations, as well as supply chain management policies in municipalities. I don't think I need to tell anyone on this platform what this is about. Third one we identified was human resources. And it's still a huge issue. The organizational structure of a municipality, it has an impact on the efficiency of the execution of its service delivery functions. And the inappropriate placement of human resources negatively affects service delivery. We can't get past that one. Fourth one is a lack of service delivery. Also, I don't need to say a lot because the collapse is physically visible to everybody. I mean, the streets are crumbling. We make jokes about potholes, which is not really funny. And unfortunately, there are too many towns with raw sewage in the streets. It's not good for the communities. It's good for nobody. And then the last one was revenue collection and payment of service providers. Now, municipalities must take appropriate steps, first of all, to collect revenues owed to them, and secondly, at the same time, pay their bills to service providers. So they have to look after that. And like I said, if you don't address these root causes, you will not achieve sustainable success. Now, the SPI, all these years I've been involved since 1996, we have the philosophy that it's better to propose solutions and offer collaboration to improve the situation rather than taking the legal route. Now, with that in mind, we've done quite a lot during the last 4 years. And the idea here is to create enabling business environments on local level. So that's what we aim to achieve with this. So apart from the normal SPI value offering that we have, we also support our business chambers regarding to local governments with the following. First of all, the SPI bought into the Safe City, Smart City concept. Now, we started this process by signing an MOU with a company called Paradigm Alpha that helps in the creation of safer towns. And Nico Palm is also in this meeting today, is still very much part of the implementation and in this. I can just say for the meeting, a safe city is a community-based initiative that unites law enforcement, business, residents, and city officials through a project intended to maximize safeness and minimize theft and other crimes in the community. And also through this, data centers are established. And that's established by community forums. Now, the role of business here, they are the facilitators, the business chambers, in the formation of these community forums. And I think that's why you said it's a bit more where business chambers aren't successful once there are a bit more success. And these data forums are responsible for hosting and maintaining all relevant data, but to the best interest of the community, the business, and the environment. Not only just one, all of them. Secondly, we also have written guidelines on effective collaboration with local government. We did that during the lockdown when we couldn't do anything else. We must remember wealth creation in a community can't be done without the inclusivity of all role players. Secondly, a deep understanding of the makeup of these role players, and then as well as the legal framework within which you conduct the business. So these guidelines were written within the current legal framework of our business chambers. And what we have extractions of all relevant local government legislation of which business chambers should be aware of. Also, we address the relevance and role of business chambers in a community. We address understanding local government because you need a deep understanding of all the role players, public participation in local government, understanding cooperative governance, as well as municipal supply chain management. I think to me, that's the most important one. And then thirdly, what we've done, we have a local government desk of expertise. So that is actually a group of experts in specific fields, which our business chambers have access to should they require information or guidance. They're welcome to contact any one of these people. And fourthly, Kgotso launched its small town regeneration and implementation strategy early in this year. This strategy was introduced to the SPI by Estelle Orton from City Plan. I see she's also in this meeting today. And we immediately realized that it was just one more piece of the puzzle that complements what we were already doing up to that point. So at this point, and I'm so glad for the invitation, Simon, you and Andrew, the SPI make use of every opportunity that we can to work together with other organizations, with organs of state, to contribute towards the creation of enabling environments on local level. We also signed, quite beginning of this year, an MOU with SALGA, and one of our focus areas is the implementation of the small town regeneration strategy. And then lastly, what we are a member of BUSA, that's Business Unity South Africa, and we are continuously busy sensitizing them to support and to amplify the SPI drive to create enabling environments on local level. So in conclusion, we've done a lot, but one thing that is clear: no individual or single organization or single organ of state will be able to overcome the challenges we face on municipal level. Also, there isn't just one thing that needs to be done, like waving a magic wand. A lot needs to be done, and everything is interdependent and interlinked, because we've started the journey 4 years ago, and everyone that comes today and since, it's just part of the journey and complements what we're busy with. So the success of this will depend on the creation of community forums, firstly. Secondly, the building of trust relationships. And thirdly, effective collaboration with all role players. So from business side of view, that is what we see. And just a last word, in the end, it's a whole community that must benefit from what we are doing, and not just a few individuals or a few organizations. And I think in the end, that is how the success will be measured. Thank you.
Winda, thank you so much. I mean, I really love that approach that you've outlined there from SPI. Propose solutions and offer collaboration, because everything is joined and no single organization or institution on its own can solve the fairly complex problems that we face. And then secondly, enable business environments at local level through various initiatives. So thank you so much. And just to say, if any of your 75 business chambers would like to participate on this forum and share their stories or learn from other towns, they are more than welcome to do that. And we can certainly follow that up. And just to say to everyone on this call, are there any questions to Winda or any feedback on what she has outlined as the SPI approach, please put it up. We will open up to a plenary just now, but in the meantime, while we're getting the inputs, if there are any points that you want to make on the chat, please do so. So let's start the conversation while we're hearing the various inputs. So Winda will come back to, I'm sure, a lot of the points that you have raised here. Thank you very much once again. So I'd like to ask Kevin Mart to come on now. He's the General Secretary of the Saldanha Black Business Alliance. Kevin, tell me what's happening in the West Coast there.
Okay, thank you so much for letting me in on this conversation. I'm, as I said, Kevin Mart. I'm the General Secretary of the Saldanha Black Business Alliance. And you will ask me, why do we actually have a Black Business Alliance in this time and age? But due to the unique needs and challenges of Black businesses, the SABBA has been established, and it is also based on a business model that is focused at primary level at lobbying and advocacy on behalf of our members, but also offering information, support, and also advisory services to those previously disadvantaged businesses, and see how we can assist them to position themselves to participate in the mainstream of the high value opportunities within the economy that we currently have within the West Coast. So that is just more in a nutshell what the SBBA is all about. Maybe I should quickly go into challenges, because currently we are experiencing more challenges than successes with our interaction as a business forum with our local municipality. Let me take the one first, looking at local procurement. In 2019, we all know that ArcelorMittal Steel, they closed their doors here in the West Coast, shedding 568 jobs. The effect of that was that a lot of these guys actually went into business ventures where they actually started new businesses because they had certain skills and they want to actually practice that skill. So I saw an increase in 2019 in membership of previously disadvantaged businesses joining the SBBA because of our strong position that we have in terms of negotiating with your bigger companies and bigger role players like provincial and even local government on new projects that are coming in. And I also need to say it from the word start that 90% of my membership is coming from the construction industry. Currently, I have 126 subscribed members in terms of that's businesses that are organized, it's not informal businesses. And most of them are in the construction industry. So with ArcelorMittal closing in 2019, and then also we have the COVID just in the following year, where I think the construction industry was maybe the hardest hit, because according to statistics, we actually shed in the tune of 620 jobs. Only if I look at my membership, then we have shed 620 jobs in that last period during COVID. So then we actually went into discussion while it was still COVID with our local municipality, asking them to actually look at targeted procurement to assist our businesses that are currently providing jobs to a huge number of people, that we actually have that local procurement push in terms of procurement from the municipality for all other services that includes the construction industry. But since then, we haven't seen any improvement, and we had numerous meetings where the municipal manager and everybody said, yes, we are going to actually look at that. And then the municipal manager actually referred us to the MFMA, and according to him, the MFMA state that the whole of South Africa is local. So I don't know how we can still change the mindset of this municipality, because it's still today, as we speak, a struggle to get them to look at local procurement, because we see that many of our businesses have had to close doors. I've lost about 30% of my members because there are no opportunities in terms of local procurement. And then I'm talking about people who are providing PPE to the local municipality. Because I mean, the municipality for us is actually sort of in this rural setup, one of the key economic players, and hence we thought actually if the municipality can set the example, then it will be easier to also pull other private sector role players into the equation. So that's currently our one big major issue. Then in terms of the LED department that is actually manned by a few people, we actually have interaction with them from time to time, because we actually are doing assessments of our businesses and ask them where they are struggling. And so far, the LED department couldn't come up or assist us with programs that address the deficiencies that we identified within businesses to make them even stronger and more competitive. And I really see a dysfunctional sort of LED department that is just actually looking at the informal sector, because they are very much focused on the informal sector. But for us who are in the formal economy, doing business, creating jobs, they are not really looking at us. So, and as I said, it isn't only once, it is only twice, it is many times that we have asked and engaged with them to actually highlight the issues that we have in terms of the support that is needed by your SMMEs, because in sometimes we only need maybe a little assistance with the bookkeeping or the skills development or training in terms of business management, but those things are not coming from the LED department, and that's actually maybe something that is really frustrating at this point in time for my members, and for me sitting here as the secretary who needs to actually engage with my local municipality. Then lastly, I also just want to touch on the issue of communication. Currently, what we also experience is that there is no communication with our local, with this business forum. And on the other hand, I need to say it that there's very much good communication, and they even have monthly meetings with the West Coast Business Chamber. And that is actually frustrating if you look at that, because we follow the supposition that there should be an all of society approach instead of a certain portion of the society that needs to engage with local government on certain issues, because we are coming with ideas, and maybe I should touch on that. Number 4 is to talk about our suggestion that we brought to the municipality, because there was a lot of strikes happening in one area in St. Helena Bay, in the Saldanha Bay municipal area. And then we came up with a suggestion, because we had an investor who actually wanted to assist with setting up this low, or I don't know what you call it, but not the RDP housing, but something where people can actually buy into it and actually get maybe a bond from the bank or whatsoever. And we only wanted the local government to actually allocate maybe a plot, or where we can actually start setting up. But then they had issues with water, etc. But just to find out that they already had some dealings with another company that is not even from Saldanha, that is going to set up housing, and they are still going strong with that deal. So that exclusion of
Kevin, sorry,
business is actually worrying.
Kevin. Hi, Kevin,
Yes.
it's Andrew here. Sorry to interrupt, but we're going to have to ask you to just draw to an end now, because your time is rapidly coming to an end, because I want to make sure that we fit everyone in.
Yeah, I think that's my story. In any case, I can actually call it a day there.
Okay, so thanks, Kevin. I mean, I think so. I'd be interested if anyone else on this call has had experience, either positive or negative, of local procurement strategies from the municipality, or perhaps from a provincial government department in that case. And Kevin, I know this issue of what is local in the South African context has been going round and round and round. Is it the town or region? Is it provincial, or is it national as opposed to international? And I don't think that has been solved. And then you raise an important point about the relationship between your organization representing business and the municipality. And if they're not communicating well with you, then it's going to cause a lot of confusion. So let's come back, let's hold those issues, and I'd invite anyone who's experienced similar issues to contribute on the chat. But I'd like to bring in Klippies Kritzinger, who's the president of the Golden Triangle Chamber of Commerce in Mfuleni. And yeah, Klippies, tell us about your story, your journey, what's happening there.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Yeah, I've been involved in this business chamber for 23 years now. And I think it's all over the newspaper, the dysfunctionality of our municipality as recently as today. Rand Water and Eskom attached all the vehicles in Mfuleni. So there's no more cars. And we actually joke about it earlier today. Would we see the difference in service delivery? I don't think we will even notice the difference. There is no cars anymore. So that's how it's going in Mfuleni. We're sitting with outstanding debt to Eskom of 5.3 billion rand. Our revenue per year in Mfuleni is about 6.5. So there's no way that a municipality can ever repay Eskom. And I think this is part of the frustration we as a business chamber do have. In the past 10 years, I think we had about 10 new mayors and municipal managers and CFOs in our municipality. So totally dysfunctional. We are trying to be positive. We try to engage. We are the biggest business chamber in the Vaal area, and in our district is Sedibeng. We've got a very good relationship with Mid-Vaal Municipality, which is DA run, and then Lesedi is ANC, as well as Mfuleni, that's the ANC coalition government. But I think what Vinda said earlier, we're sitting with a situation of local government being so arrogant. You spoke about, Andrew, local spend. We spend less than 30% of our procurement in Mfuleni. They all go to Joburg because we're 100 kilometers away from Joburg. So you do interact on various levels. We actually, recently as last week, we had a meeting with our whole Mayco. Because we started with we call it a pay revolt, but it's actually a pay retention. We decided during this month, there's a recess and their bank account has been attached by Rand Water, by Eskom, so they cannot recall any accounts. So they do work on estimates. Our billing is atrocious. And we interacted with the Mayco last week, and we decided we can have project teams targeting and strategizing on certain aspects that's critical for job creation and business in Mfuleni. And when we had a meeting, we were there last minute, they canceled the meeting, and that's normal. We are not even surprised about Mfuleni canceling meetings. So the frustration of business is huge. Yes, we acknowledge there's businesses that do owe their money, but there's just no qualified and a person with the necessary authority that can address that issue. I had one of our corporate members had an issue with a 500,000 rand water bill. Now I had to go in, see the CFO, the acting CFO, see him to resolve that. And this is how it is. If you don't have a connection, and luckily for us, and we are privileged as the chamber, we are the go-to organization for business in the Vaal, but we are getting all and more other fraternities and forums joining us to take hands with us. So we always try to be respectful, and I think this is what very important, but we are so far down the road that for us to turn this bus around, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime. So we still, just earlier today, somebody asked me, are you getting something right? And I said, no, I don't think so, but at least we irritate them. So this we are on the irritation part of the road, where we really struggle. Our electrical outages are unbelievable. We are definitely, without any doubt, the pothole capital of South Africa. Sewer, the Vaal River, you cannot use the Vaal River anymore. There is millions and millions of kiloliters of raw sewage going into the Vaal River every day. So we have the intervention, this section 63 from Rand Water, but we as business and residents haven't seen anything yet. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what's going on in Mfuleni. We are trying, we partnered with the NAFCOCs and the Sedibeng Business Chamber, the traditional black business chambers. And that's how we are not a white business. We've got quite a lot of black members in our chamber, but we are still perceived as a white chamber because we represent most of the businesses in the world. So yeah, that's in a nutshell. Thank you very much. If there's any question, I will gladly try to answer.
Wow. Klippies, I'm really sorry to hear that story. I mean, that is one of the most extreme cases that I think we have come across. And unfortunately, in your area, a really hard ship to turn around, because there have been previous interventions, as I think you mentioned on your website, which just haven't worked. Interventions from National Treasury, I think interventions from your provincial government, sending in administrators, and sometimes that does help a municipality to turn itself around by getting in some professionals, but it seems not to have worked in your area.
Andrew, we were very close to our administrator, a guy called Gilberto Martins, and actually he was here, and his first week we actually had a presentation from him, but he was with the political environment in Mfuleni. We basically do have 3 factions in our municipality. So they are so busy fighting each other in this. And unfortunately, finance was never part of his portfolio. It was human resources, supply chain, and basic services. So we're sitting with basic services really just not happening. For example, we have 1 vehicle that needs to attend to all water leaks in Vereniging. Have 1 vehicle in Van der Bijl Park, and now after the day we don't have any vehicles anymore. So I think we're going to see the guys start walking. And that's the issue that we have. We said it was a mentality of 2,420 persons working there with a monthly budget of 140 million rand in salaries, but there's just no service. In actual fact, what happened this month with the new Payasa Lesufi requested Eskom to release the capture of the bank account so that they can pay salaries. Now on the 7th of December, they will get their grants from government. They're going to use that for salaries in December. So they don't use it for what is intended to. Salaries are the number 1, 2, and 3 priority in Mfuleni. They do not pay their service providers. So we sit in a situation where they are going outside to get service providers because our service providers are not being paid. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Klippies. I mean, that is an extreme crisis that it's very hard to know where to begin, quite frankly. But I think we have to note that that is a reality in some parts of the country. I do note that at your meeting, Klippies, you called on the president to dissolve the dysfunctional local municipality and the council, and that you are mobilizing with businesses and other ratepayers to withhold rates, in a sense, as the last resort, which I can understand under these circumstances here. I suspect President Ramaphosa today has a few other things on his mind than sorting out Mfuleni, but I take the point. You need higher up intervention, and I think it points to dysfunctionality when, if there's a crisis at the center, at the top, it's very hard to get enough attention down to the bottom to sort out the local crises that you are experiencing in your area. I'd like to, thanks for that. And again, if there's any advice from this forum on how you deal with extreme dysfunctionality at a local and regional level, please put it up there. I'd like to go on to the next input, and that is, I'm hoping it's a more hope story rather than a less hope story. Nico Palm from RavCom and Brenton Rooskrantz about what is happening in Ramalotsi and Viljoenskroon. Tell us about that.
Thank you very much, colleagues. I think I will take the lead now, and then Brenton.
Okay. Nico, you're very soft, Nico. I don't know if you can maybe come closer to the mic.
Is it better now?
A little better.
Okay. Thank you very much. What happened in Viljoenskroon is that we form part of the Moqhaka Local Municipality, and it took some time for us to...
Nico, I'm going to stop you. Speak as close to the mic as you can, or turn something up. I'm struggling to hear you. Apologies, but let's get, I want to hear what you have to say.
No problem. Let me see all the systems is my highest. Andrew, can you hear me now?
That's a bit better. Thank you, Nico.
Okay, my apologies. Okay, so we started in 2016 and we started building trust. I have seen war and the destruction of war in Africa, and I started realizing we have to find another way. How can
I think it's I'm not able to hear clearly at all. So I wonder if it's maybe you're using a headset that you could switch to your normal computer mic or something, because yesterday it was working fine with whatever sound setup you had yesterday.
Definitely. Is it better? Can you hear me now, Simon?
Still seems to be the same. I'm not sure why.
Oh, yeah, that is strange. Everything is still the same as yesterday.
No, that is a bit better. Let's give it a go. Let's see.
Okay.
Nico, go for it. Sorry about that. Yeah.
No problem. Right. What we did is start rock instead of fighting an event after we sit around the table and then find peace. That is a dumb way to go forward. So we can prevent war to go into discussion in any case in the first place. So this is what we did with our municipality. We are not interested in the political affiliation or who is the ruling side. That was not our intent. So we start building trust and building with collaboration, cooperation, and cohesion. That is the process that we followed, and I think we start winning the battle. And Brenton can talk for himself what he experienced with his 5-6 years now. So we are at the position now that we and our municipality are partnering, luckily for what Kgotso and Isabel did with the small town regionalization strategy, where we start building our first or establish our first 5 teams to start with the project, the low-hanging fruit as pilot project. We will hopefully have the first pilot project going very soon, hopefully by the end of this year, when the first task teams will be announced by council. It's a council resolution that announced these task teams now, and it's official. Nobody can play around anymore. That gives us a lot of leeway and support from our council as well as from our administration in the municipality. So we follow this small town regeneration strategy. It's a wonderful strategy, one of the best that I've seen since the DDM structures. And now we sit with a strong position. We have the trust, we have the collaboration and cohesion with our local municipality. It took time, it's a process. We must understand it. It's not a quick fix. And start building trust, it's time consuming. There's a lot of changes. During our training with National Treasury, they say that the community must bring continuity, capacity, and credibility. Because there's little continuity in the municipality. There's constant change due to political changes, as well as in administration as well, where they replace people. So we as a community and business try to take hands, try to build the relationships. And I think within Moqhaka Local Municipality, and specifically here in Maromaluchi, we've got now a wonderful community and business forum that really works close with our municipality. And I think Brenton Rooskrans can give you some kind of idea what was his experience since we started the process and how he sees it from within the municipality and how he experienced it as an ex-senior municipal councillor. Thank you, Jay. This is all from my side.
Thank you, Nico. Brenton?
Andrew, am I audible enough?
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Is that good? Okay. I'm not sure if everyone could hear Nico, but yes, I'm actually from the Kroonstad Chamber. I'm the spokesperson for the chamber. My name is Brenton Rooskrans. I was previously a member of the Mayoral Committee at Moqhaka Municipality for 5 years, responsible for finance and for local economic development. Andrew, my experience, I would not want to go into what Lopi was saying because that's extreme. I think that's the worst case scenario that you can get. I don't even think you can call that a municipality. But if you look at the key indicators that caused for municipalities to go down the drain like that, one of the key ones would be distribution of electricity. Where Eskom is distributing electricity within a municipal jurisdiction, it becomes very, very difficult for a municipality to do collection of revenue in those areas, especially if it's in, and this is not to be discriminating towards anyone, but especially if it's in locations where you would find that people just don't want to pay. They will not pay for water, they will not pay for taxes, they pay for nothing. And you can't block them. The law does not allow you to switch off the water. And you can't put on communal tabs because the infrastructure doesn't allow it. So you have to put in or spend money on electronic type of water meters. You put it in, the next day it's out. So community is very reluctant to go into that space. So wherever Eskom is distributing electricity, I can tell you now municipalities are finding it very, very difficult to pay their municipal services, because 80% of the revenue that they are getting from whoever is paying has to go back to Eskom. And then they also have salaries that they have to cover. So it's really a difficult situation to be in. I know in Ramalotsi specifically, Eskom is distributing electricity there. When I left the municipality last year, November, Ramalutsi's money that they owed, or debt that they owed to the municipality, was almost 500 million. And whereby Moqhaka, Maokeng in Kroonstad, which is a larger population, owed the municipality far less than that. I think it was 200 million. So it just shows you where the municipality is able to collect and where the municipality is not able to collect. Another thing that I would like to get in from as a former member of a municipality, specifically in a mayoral committee, Andrew, is that if you look at after COVID, there's so much that went wrong. People did not pay for services. It became difficult even to operate a municipality. Services went down, and consequently, Eskom was also not paid. Eskom is charging municipalities interest rates on their arrears, whereby other service providers cannot charge the municipalities interest on those accounts, which is a bit unfair. But nonetheless, if you have a municipal account of 18 million per month, 2 days later, if you did not pay Eskom immediately, there's about 200 to 300,000 rand that was on the account, which is very difficult. And then I would just like to, if I may, give some advice as to how to approach a municipality. In the current state of affairs, business chambers need Black people to speak on their behalf. I'm saying this with the utmost respect. It is become norm that municipalities, especially mayoral committees and mayors, don't speak to white business chambers. They have an attitude that's a very arrogant attitude that says, you want to take over, you want to dictate to us, you want to tell us how to do things. Why should we do what you say we should do? You had your chance. All those things are being discussed while they're sitting there. And no one is actually looking at the bigger picture of what was presented. And that becomes the problem. So it's always advisable to let your chairperson perhaps be a Black person, without making it a race issue, but let that person be, he or she, a Black person. Let your secretary be from another race. Then you have some balance, so that when you speak to the municipality, they can immediately see that interracial cohesion that's in that chamber. It's unfortunate. It's not supposed to be like that 30 years, 20 years going down the line, but still it is like that. But we should also look at it that the ANC has not changed. I'm a member of the African National Conference. I'm an ANC member, and it has not changed in the last 25 years. It is still lobbying every elections with apartheid movies that goes on to SABC. You would see on social media being flooded with apartheid things. So if a white person then approaches the municipality, if that mayor and the mayoral committee is not in touch with the reality on the ground, they will definitely not be listening to you. They will even cancel meetings on you. For an example, I think Nico informed us this morning that several times Nwate municipality, the chamber has been trying to reach out to the municipality, and they just cancel on the last minute. They confirm in writing that they will attend the meeting, and then they just stay away from that. So that's just a small bit of advice, if I may. Then I would like to also come in, Andrew, on the LCMA versus the MFMA. Your supply chain management policy is a guideline. And there's a process when the IDP goes out whereby communities are asked to make inputs. Municipalities never take those policies that they are going to table in the budget to community. They only take the tariffs that's going to be increased. So chambers must look on the website of the municipality if there's any, or they should contact the municipality and ask for all the policies, the draft policies that's there, and then make written submissions to the changing of the policy, because your supply chain policy is a scoring card that will then give to local businesses advantage. If Kevin Mart and his people can maybe speak to when that's that time for the budget. I think the adjustment budget is going through now in February, and then immediately after that, about 30 days after that, the draft budget is supposed to be tabled, and then they start with negotiations. So you have to make inputs on that to force your municipality to have a higher scoring for any business if it's local. What we did was at Moqhaka was we started panels, and then we said out of certain levels of revenue on the budget, these ones will be local. Your supplying of material are all local. And when we talk about local, we're not saying only in the municipality's boundaries. We allow also a place like RavCom, which is in another municipality, but because they are within 100 kilometers from the main town of Moqhaka, which is Kroonstad, they are also being accommodated, because you can't be having a service provider supplying you with material and they are in Cape Town. So you have to influence that process. And the only way to influence that process is through your participation process when they do it. And most of the time, the chamber is nowhere to be seen, even when they invite stakeholders. Now, what we did was we also encourage, because officials are very clever. They tell them, the municipality, the councillors, that they have invited everyone, but they don't. They know that there's issues. So they try to keep the chambers away from the municipality when these public participation processes take place. Invite yourself. Go there, it's your municipality. Go and make inputs. They can't chase you away. Another thing is that I think the lady that spoke about national.
If you can make this your last point, please. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, the last one is just this one. To get municipalities out of debt, I honestly think the Division of Revenue Act should be changed. We can no longer be using Revenue Act that was established pre-94. Your MIG is currently only catering for locations, your previously disadvantaged areas. So your town is going into the gutter. That's why there's potholes all over. But if your Revenue Division Act can be changed, and if they can engage with SALGA and all those stakeholders on top, they can make changes that can accommodate the municipalities to have enough resources in order to change municipalities. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks very much, Brenton, and to Nico. I mean, I think that the two inputs go well together. Brenton, I mean, you called a spade, and you pointed out the continuation of low trust environments in many of our towns, and that's a factor of history. It's a factor of the current situation, and the continuing issues of race and racial relations in our discourses. And I think that is an honest and accurate reflection. I think, Nico, you gave us an example, and Simon, I think we must circulate the example from the RavCom Business Chamber, which is an example of inclusive localism, really trying to bring everyone together in an inclusive basis. And I think that probably is the way to engage ultimately with municipalities led by leaders that are often very suspicious of different interests in the towns, because we're not bringing together the boerdorp on the onderdorp. So this goes to the heart of how we try and turn around the situation. Obviously, if you get, as Brenton, I think as you said, the situation of Mfuleni is so far dysfunctional, you need a different strategy. Sitting down and talking is probably not going to achieve much. You've got to almost reinvent from the beginning. And then, Brenton, also your point about having the fundamentals in place, the collection of revenue. The thing I'm certainly worried about is the overall municipal debt to Eskom in the country, which stands at 52 billion rand. And so if we're trying to get renewable energy onto the grid, but the local municipality still owes Eskom a huge debt, it's going to really complicate our transition to a low carbon sort of green energy situation. And I think your point that you make about municipal finance overall and needing some sort of structural change is absolutely correct. Right at the beginning, Simon, I remember we had an input from PARI, from Tracy Ledger, and they've been doing a lot of research just to show how the allocation of revenue for municipalities, which is 9% of the total revenue, does not really match the total powers and functions and obligations of municipalities in the country. So there probably needs to be some sort of high-level policy structural change around municipal finance. Anyway, thank you for those two inputs there. I'd like to, Lizette, have you got a more hope story or a less hope story? Tell us about that.
Hey, I've got hope. I've got hope.
Okay.
Can you all hear me?
Yes,
I
we would
can-
love to see you as well,
Here?
Lizette.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Lizette, I can hear you. We want to see you if that's
Can you
possible.
hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. I'm going to try. Can you see me? Okay, is the video on?
No, it isn't. And in fact,
Okay,
you
there
still
I am.
mark.
I can see myself.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Yes, there we go. Go for it, Lizette.
Now I see myself. Okay. Okay. My name is Lizette du Plessis. I'm the Free State leader of SBI. 6 years ago, the very special leadership of Nico Palm, we were led into this concept of smart city, safe city. We had many meetings. I remember we started with a task team and we changed ideas. We had many people that said, no, they're not going further. They don't have hope in what we're doing. And after 6 years, we start to see momentum, and we don't want to lose the momentum. So I'm going to try, and I think if I may, I can speak like 6 hours, 2 days, 3 days, because I've never in my whole life seen so many opportunities like now. So I want us to realize that we've got fountains and fountains, and we have to grab it. So the first thing we have to do, and I'm going to try to tell a little bit practical, but as I said, I can speak on many aspects. So do Nico. So the most important thing that we've realized is with so many negative people around us, we don't want to hear about all the problems. We can see it. We live in it. We live in the sewage. We live without fresh water. We live without electricity. We can write books and volumes of books. It's not going to solve the problem. We don't want to hear how many members we've got. We move with the few members we've got, and the people that want to move, we move with them. So what we're looking for a job. We've got a project, we can get the money. We don't want the money. We want the project and the jockey. And then we'll get the money. So we need good corporate governance, and we've got a lot of work to do. So what happened, very interesting, a few months ago, the mayor in Machubeng, and remember we do the whole Free State, looked at me and 5 other people, business people that I didn't know, and he said to me, and the other 5, and he said, can you please help me? Because I don't know who's business. Because you tell me you are business. The Black Forum tell they are business. The Zamas tell their business. The construction mafia tell us they is business. So the mayor said, I'm lost because I don't know who to talk to. Can you please go home, organize and structure? Organize and structure. The Minister of Finance, the Minister of Water and Sanitation, came to us and they said, we're looking for the ears and the eyes, and they're looking for dust. And they said to us, please, can you go to the blackboard and tell us how do you want to do it? And we said, well, we're ready to move. So what we went to a boardroom and we started to work. And we invited people we didn't know, and we invited people of all spheres. And we started Machubeng, and I'm only going to use Machubeng today as an example, but we've got Paul, we've got many other areas, Kroonstad and many other areas. But let me quickly use this as a solution, as an example to give. So what we said, first of all, we all agree we want to be part of the solution. Then we said we're looking for positive people, not people that want to tell us what all the problems is. We agreed to disagree. And we said, we're not looking for the rebellions. We're not looking for the people that want to go to court because they're going to close the doors for us in the negotiation process. And we said, we're not going to plead poverty. We're going to write solutions that's sustainable and that will last for 30 years, even if I'm not there anymore. So we body on board. So we started to work. In 6 years, we made an in-depth study of the constitution. We made a study of the bylaws of the municipality, the water laws. We met with Kgotso, with Zolga. We met with mayors, with speakers, with MFs, with CFOs. We made a study. How does the whole thing of ward councillors work? What is the role players, and how does it work if we get one door closed and it doesn't want to open? We made a study of what is the role of all the departments, and we made some research to say, but who is community? And in that, we also suddenly appeared Church in Action, which we realized represent communities, because the whistleblowers went to and said we the whistleblowers, but now we've lost our jobs and we fear ours. So the Church in Action started to come to the front, which represents streets. We made a study and we realized local municipalities doesn't report provincial. Local municipalities doesn't report nothing. He said to us, our president is very cross because people blame him for the dysfunction in municipalities, but it's out of his hands. He needs the support of the community to help him and solve the problem. So we made a study of abbreviations. What's the IDP? What's the budget? What is the role? What is the responsibility? What is the policy? Each one must do the job. So let's hear who's not doing their job and how can we solve it. We even made a study of the Lesotho Island project, the concessions, how does the company law work, if we need a non-profit company, entities, trust, memorandum of incorporation, memorandum of understandings, and a lot of other things. We started a lot of pages to have libraries where we can keep.
Oh gosh, have we lost Lizette? I think we have.
Seems so.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we move to.
Yeah, let's move, and we'll, if Lizette comes back in, tell me, Simon, and I don't want to delay anything here. I'd like to go straight to our last input. Kgotso Schoeman, who's the CEO of Kagiso Capital, which is the income generating arm of Kagiso Trust, which is one of our partners. Kgotso, please tell us about how you work with municipal officials. That's becoming a theme that we are developing here today.
Thank you, Andrew. I think I'm really more going to tell you a story, and maybe the story would give you a sense of what we do. My colleague Paul and Nyeleti and Tamo and the others are working in Makana, and they've been working in Makana for a couple of years. And we have a program that we implemented in education in the Free State. And this program is a program where we bring people together who run an institution. And what we did in the Free State in schools, we would go to schools that underperform and have been underperforming for many years. And we would bring them into a room and we would have with them what we call honest, brave conversations of accountability. We would then have a conversation on showing them how their schools have been performing over the years. And we would engage in a question that says, but why should you guys still be here when your school performs in the way it performs? And that brings out a deep conversation where people start calling each other out on who's letting the system down. We then decided to take that conversation and maybe just to wrap up the Free State story. To date, the Free State for the past 4 or 5 years has been the top province in the country. And I think we've been able to work with schools that have been underperforming for many years. Some of the schools now for over 10 years are performing at average between 90 and 100%. And that's really because we had to get into the conversation where people call each other out as a team. There's one particular school, in this difficult conversation, one of the guys stood up and said, look, if we throw the principal over the fence and lock the gate, this school will perform. And that principal was removed. And that school to date is one of the best schools in the Free State. We took this conversation into a local government space in Makana, and we brought people together, both politicians and administration. And we had this conversation and we said, look, let's talk about where Makana is. We created a video where community members were telling officials and politicians how bad they are in providing services. And we wanted to have a conversation with the municipality, but what communities are saying, is there any truth? And there was absolute truth. I think everyone in the room acknowledged that, yes, we're extremely bad in providing services. We then went into a space where we identified, we paired people, we paired the mayor and the MM, we paired a senior official with a portfolio councillor. And we wanted them to have a conversation on how their different units are working and performing. And it was very interesting when we had a conversation with the mayor and the MM, and they clearly indicated that their relationship was a bad relationship. And in the conversation, because I was facilitating that conversation, I said to them, but you guys are aware that this can't continue. Because if we had to improve the situation, or if the situation does not improve, you guys must accept one of you would have to leave. You both can't be here when this system doesn't work. And it was very interesting in the conversation, even the councillors, I mean, they've been working together for just over 3 years. And the councillors knew that the relationship between the mayor and the MM was a bad relationship. But council could never say that this council has been held back because the mayor and the MM are just cat and dog. They just don't have a relationship. And everyone from the officials to the councillors are copying the behavior of the two officials that are supposed to be leading the transformation of this municipality. The work we do, we strongly believe that there is a need for us to begin to facilitate very honest, brave conversations with people who lead municipalities. And in our conversations, we always say to the mayor and the municipality and municipal manager, if this doesn't work, you must accept accountability for dysfunctionality starts with you. Right? If the two of you can't accept it, that this municipality is not performing and you guys are responsible for it, I think we have a long way to go. And that's what our process is about. Our process is about facilitating honest, brave conversations. We think what we do in engaging with local government, and the danger is that we as partners are also scathing around having these brave conversations. And for me, I always become scared that because we don't confront the hard accountability conversations, particularly with senior people in government, we're bound to be drawn into the space where later we will be accused to have played the role that the Mackenzies played in this country when you think of SARS. I think it is important for us as partners of government, we should be able to assist the institution to start getting involved and engaging in very honest accountability conversations to a point where business need to be able to say to the president or to whoever, MEC, that we think the mayor in this town is not a mayor that is going to assist us to transform this municipality. And I think we need to start creating a culture honestly of making people take accountability for the state at which municipalities find themselves in. I think I'm not concerned with Nico who made a comment that maybe there's a need for business to start appointing Black people who have to interact with municipalities. That is the danger that I think if we don't get involved in brave conversations, we are slipping into the danger of getting involved in raised conversations. It's not about whether a chamber is led by a white person or a Black person. I think we need to confront the reality of non-performance of officials and politicians in our localities. And that's the business that we do. We're in the business of creating spaces for people to take accountability. And in the session that we had in Makana, it was very interesting that you had officials that literally stood up and said, I let the system down because to date, give an example, there's somebody who's responsible for creating an organogram for the council. Today, the Makana Council does not have an organogram. And the person is not being held accountable, but the person remains in the job, right? You have a problem. And we think that is where the biggest problem is. The other example that we picked up was that somebody says an official drives a municipality car, does not have a license, knock the car, parks the car, nobody goes to him and say, but look, you're not supposed to drive the car because you don't have a license. And nobody goes to the official to hold them accountable. What happens? Everyone who does not have a license think they can drive the municipality car. I think the biggest challenge we have in local government and how we govern and manage local government, I think we're all scared to get involved in the brave conversations. And we went to a point where we were saying to Paul and the team, maybe what we need to do is to even go to the regional structure of the ANC and say to them, you as a regional structure of the ANC have a fundamental problem. You've got two officials that are from one party who can't work together, and you expect this municipality to be turned around. It can't be turned around because you guys are not holding your deployees accountable. Right? And I think for me, we need to really create spaces for this honest, brave conversations. I also think it is time for us also to have brave conversations with communities. It doesn't make sense for us not to share with communities how we run and manage municipalities. And for communities to know if they don't play their part, they have no municipality. The idea that people can't pay for services and we don't want to have the conversation doesn't make sense. And this is really the space we, as the Kagiso Institute, plays. And we think, we say to people, we facilitate conversations where people own up and take accountability for their actions and also commit to changing their behaviors. And this is really the process that we are facilitating in local government spaces. And I think to date, it has really shown that a lot of people do want to play the role of making their municipalities work. The problem is that we're not holding people that let the system down accountable. And that's why everyone thinks, look, if they can't hold people who don't work accountable, why should we pull our weight? And for us, I think we really need to start changing the conversation and truly hold officials and politicians accountable for non-service delivery. We need to engage communities honestly that if they don't contribute and play their part in paying for services, they actually have no municipality. Whether you come up with a new a system of distributing the national grant, you still are going to have to make people pay for services, right? And I think it's probably important for us to start creating those spaces for those brave conversations.
So thank you so much. I really like what you put on the table here. Honest discussions about accountability questions municipal accountability, business accountability, community accountability. And Kevin, I would certainly say, just responding to some of your comments, this is regardless of political party. Anyone in power in any municipality needs to be held accountable, needs to engage with their citizens and their local business in an open and transparent way, no matter which political party you're from. It goes way beyond party politics, this. And we've, Kgotso, you've said we've really got to confront the reality of non-performance. Just in a sense, what we also have to do as part of that conversation, I think you alluded to this, that there's also a difference between, in a sense, of people who won't pay, which can become a culture, and people who simply cannot pay. I mean, I've engaged with households where people make a choice between whether to feed their kids or pay the school fees or pay the ECD levy or pay the municipal bills, but they can't do it all. They literally reduce food in order to pay the school fees, and that's a Sophie's choice. That's a terrible choice. That's not a choice at all. And so many households are facing bitter poverty in that regard. So we've got to, that comes back to the overall reform of the local government system of finances. Lizette, you dropped off, you're back on. I want to recap 2 points you made. And that was, in a sense, you also talked about the importance of dealing with divisions within the business sector, the business community. And we say at the EDP that partnering, like charity, begins at home. In other words, each sector has got to get its own partnering act together in order to become a better partner with the other sectors. If everyone shows up with obvious divisions, whether it's factions within a council or factions within a business community or factions within a community or civil society and NGOs, it undermines an inclusive collaborative process. So, and also you made the point, Lizette, of it is helpful that everyone does their homework on understanding the system. And you gave examples of that. Do you want to just wrap up what you were saying?
And Andrew, before Lizette comes on, I just wanted to note that we only have 5 minutes more of the session. And there have been some very interesting points made in the chat. For those people that haven't had a look at that, there's a statement from Nico to Kgotso. That would be interesting to hear back from Kgotso on that one in the chat, because there won't be enough time. And a number of discussion points there if people want to turn to the chat to continue the discussion there. Thanks.
Thanks, Simon. Yes, I mean, maybe we should make these 2 hours in future in the new year. But Lizette, go for it.
Okay, so what I want to say, we got everybody in the same boardroom. We started SWOT analysis, we started purpose of life, we started to get to know people we didn't know before. We invited people to come into different meetings, like workshops. And then we started to structure and organize, like the mayor has asked us, like the Minister of Finance has asked us, like the head of Department Water and Sanitation, Minister Senzu, the Minister of Water and Sanitation. We got an intervention in water and sanitation in Machabeng. And that was the starting point. The minister said he is looking for eyes and ears. He appointed a committee to help with the intervention, and we start to work like 24/7. We got together, minutes, agendas, very structured, good food, getting together, making friends, and now we like one big family. And I think what's important is what we've learned. We've learned that departments cannot talk to each other in a very fast line. So they need communities to stand up to get all the departments together in the same room. So Kgotso, Zalga, Department of Water and Sanitation, Correctional Service, and all these people came to us as a Chamber of Business and asked us, can you facilitate a meeting, and can you invite other departments so that we can hear what you want the solution, and then we will go back, because that is a fast line. So that was something we picked up, and we worked very hard on that. Then we took, like, for instance, Machabeng, And we said there's 6 towns, there's 14 villages and townships. And we said, okay, we've got 14. And we said municipality has got 10 portfolios. And we went to the blackboard and we started to draw up how must a solution look like. And we said, okay, there must be a task team, there must be a focus team, there must be a security side, like Vinda mentioned, the data center, a safety and security, a CC, and ops room. And we started to draw it up on boards. And we said, okay, this is the model, this is model 2, this is model 3. And people started to participate in that from all areas. But we started to say, we want to go to the streets. We want to talk to the community because the Constitution says the community is the municipality. So what we did in all 14 areas, we structured small little business chambers and community forums. But we also said, we don't want to invent the wheel again. We're going to see what's already there. So what we started with the jockey, the project, a smart school in a specific area. And then we formed a task team, a focus team, and we connected that with the Fusion Center, as we said. That's where the data and security is. And we started to write the governance. We took a smart school, a smart clinic, smart water and sanitation. And then we said, okay, if we look at the LED, because we did a whole study of the LED also, we said there's a few things that we have to concentrate on, of which is smart youth. So we started a youth chamber. We said smart tourism. We started a tourism chamber, and we had a big tourism in Daba in Senekal. We started with smart agri, and we connected with the Dutch. That will be with our next visit, the 5th of December. And we said, okay, how are we going to help smart agri? And that's our story. So we've got a lot of work to do, but we are very, very, very chuffed because we've made friends with people all over, languages, different tribes, different religions. And we get together in one room and we never differ. I can tell you, we've never had a difference because we don't talk about things where we can differ and not have solutions. So I hope this encourages everybody. And please, if you want to come and visit us, do so. We can tell you we've got full-time offices, we've got full-time boards, and we've got pages and pages on our blackboards of everything. How did we give each one a time to speak his heart? So our meetings is very long, like 8-hour meetings, and we've learned a lot from each other, but we've also given space for so many people to give an input. So thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Lizette. We would love to come and visit, not for an 8-hour meeting, but at least for a cup of coffee and a site visit and a walk around. That would be good. Colleagues, we have come to the end of our time. And I think that from my side, I would just say, firstly, we've heard some tough stories, particularly in instances of total municipal dysfunctionality, and also where there are poor or non-existent relationships. Then it's really hard to do stuff. It's really hard where the relationships don't exist, or they are toxic or one-sided, and they're not built on mutual accountability. It's really hard to do something there. We've also heard quite a few stories of hope. And I think each one of those stories has elaborated on conditions for successful engagements. I think on the municipal side, if you're getting the basics right, you can work very well with your community, with your society, with your business community, on then going beyond getting the basics. But I think what came across everyone's input is building inclusive relationships at a local level. That's where it starts. Having those conversations, if people are feeling excluded, whoever that constituency is, you've got to have that conversation and bring people together there, across the barriers that have divided us for so long. And I think that as your stories, if you are able to do that, you have a chance of turning around the performance of your town, of your region, and working together on that. So I'm encouraged, despite some of the real tough situations that quite a few of you face on this call, that there are examples of if you handle the process right, you roll up your sleeves, and Lizette, if you perhaps have those long 8-hour meetings, hopefully they get a bit shorter once people have learned to trust each other, and you can get on to the next stage of consolidating and growing rather than just surviving. Simon, back to you.
I'm sorry, I just want to tell you, people love the meetings. Some people say we can only stay for 10 minutes and then they stay for 8 hours. So it becomes so creative, innovative that people say, listen, we didn't have a meeting this week. Can we have a meeting? So it's really, we are so excited what's happening.
Thanks, Lizette. Simon?
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm going to invite everyone to have a parting sort of group photo. If you want to just put on your videos just before you depart, and we'll take a couple of screenshots. And then on our side, do have a look at the web page that we shared, that from Leila shared in the chat there. That's where you'll find the meeting recording from this meeting, as well as the report. And you'll also find some resources. We'd love recommendations on what we should be focusing on next year. So if you can please send through those recommendations to me on my email. You would know my email because you got the invitation from it. And if you would also like to please recommend what we should be focusing on in terms of the support component of Towns Action Network. We are hopeful that we'll get some funding in the coming year to boost the support and implementation component so that we can actually service the requests that come through from our network at present. So if you would like support, or you would like to give support, because we will need people to provide the support. We don't provide the support as EDP. That comes through our support partners on the ground. So if you'd like to give support or you need support, drop me a mail. All right, I've taken a group photo, but now I just like a bit of a wave from everybody. Look happy. I'm glad we finished on a positive note there. All right.
Yeah. Simon, can I just say from my side, I think that we've just started a conversation about business and municipalities and communities. And I think we should definitely revisit this theme, perhaps with a little bit more time next year, and bring more business inputs and more municipal responses. Let's see if we can organize that and carry on this conversation. And thanks everyone for the inputs. Yeah, really.
I would have loved to have heard more from many of the inputs.
Yeah.
Thank you to the SBI for their help in organizing this. SBI is powerful and we would like them to grow stronger. I think they're doing fantastic work. And thank you for the inputs from Kagiso Trust and Kagiso Capital. All right, that's it from us.
Simon, thank you. And thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks, Wenda.
Bye-bye, Wenda.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.